Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking with Arsh. Arsh, it's great to connect with you. Looking forward to diving in. Arsh Sanwarwala, you're the CEO, founder of ThrillX Design, just a web agency in Toronto, which we're going to get into a lot of good stuff. Before we kind of kick off, I'm a business coach. I always like to talk to people about where their stuck is, right? I work with successful people all over the globe who are stuck, but successful but stuck. So share with me kind of a recent stuck of yours and how you got unstuck.
Yeah, for sure. First and foremost, just wanted to say thanks again for having me.
Yeah.
If you had asked me a year ago, I think it would have been completely different than what it is now, and that's kind of the beauty of business, I guess. You always have different problems that come up in different months, but most recently, our stuck point was I would say a good problem to have, which was just managing growth and really, the systems and processes that worked for us when we were smaller did not, work most recently. So for us, again, getting a lot of projects and just managing that growth and adapting the systems for those projects. So, the way that we got unstuck with that is I've been spending a lot of time just documenting everything. And I think in the past, I used to get hung up on making it perfect. But I realized that these things can't be perfect, right? You kind of adapt as you go. And so some small things has been even something like automating an onboarding form as soon as a client signs up with us, send them an onboarding form, or even just templatizing, certain aspects of project delivery has kind of become addicting to see like where can we become more efficient as we continue to grow.
Yeah, I love that. I've been talking to a lot of clients about that because in a post-COVID world too, some of the systems and processes that were in place actually were not in place. And during COVID, people figured that out. And then people were working hybrid, people were kind of evolving those, but now we're back to the office a lot. And again, they're evolving. So I'm glad you're bringing that up because, they need to be looked at. I would suggest that the proper teams are in place to make sure that those systems and processes are done. A lot of times I work with clients where they're completely disjointed because the team is out of alignment, don't meet, don't strategize, don't plan, don't roll out, don't train. There's a lot that goes into it. So thanks for bringing that up. That's great. All right, let's talk about design today, web design. It's different today. I'm 51. When I was 23, I started an internet company out of college. We did websites, sold that company when I was 25, but websites continually change. People's attention span continually goes down, less than a goldfish, less than 7 seconds. I've read studies that people stay on a page for 17 milliseconds, and before they click off. And so, talk about, because on your website, it talks about beautifully data-driven websites that turn clicks into sales, but you got to get the click. So how did somebody get the click?
Yeah, the analogy that I always use is it's like if you're crossing a river, you can't just jump from one end to the other, right? You step on rocks, you step on logs, eventually to get to that other side of the river. So in the same way, websites are very much similar in nature, right? If you're an e-commerce store, you can't simply get somebody to purchase as soon as they land on your site. There's all of these little micro actions and micro conversions that gets people to that end stage, right? And then subsequently for a B2B company to get somebody to fill out a form or contact you, there's all these micro decisions that go into it. So what we try to solve for is getting that user one step closer from the landing experience to that end conversion, right? For e-commerce, it's what if I don't like this product? Well, we have a 90-day return policy. What is the live chat support like if I find an issue with the product, right? And so you're solving for all of these different variables.
Yeah, I love that. I talk a lot about micro business plans, micro wins, right? You need those today. So when you talk about, micro decisions, what are some of those micro decisions?
So the first thing that we see all the time, this mistake, is crystal clear messaging, right? Like as soon as I land on the website, If I don't know in 5 seconds or less who you are, what you do, and what's in it for me, then I will either not scroll down on the page or I will just exit straight away. Right. So that's always the first principle that we focus on nailing down, which is getting that value proposition crystal clear on the website. Then there's
Yeah.
other principles like social proof, right? Like having reviews, testimonials, featured publications immediately visible upon landing on the site. And again, there's all these other things as you get to purchase page and go through the whole flow. But that's the first place that we always start.
Yeah. What is clear messaging today? I think a lot of times people have a hard time with that.
Yeah, so it's really trying to eliminate jargon, right? Like the thing that we always think of is what's in it for me, right? What's the tangible benefit that I gain as a user? So funny enough, I have these headphones here that are wired headphones, right? So the feature, or sorry, like they have a wire, right, for the headphones. So the feature would be of wireless headphones would be that it's wireless, right? That's the feature. But what's the core benefit? The core benefit is that I can have a hassle-free listening experience, right? I can listen to music without tangled cords or having mess all over my desk, right? So that's the core benefit that can be derived from the feature. So that's what we always try to think about is getting to that deeper why, the what's in it for me.
Yeah. Good. Good. I love it. And so, as a web designer, I'm sure you work with companies to kind of get into a room, a quiet space, and get them to think to get to that point, right? And so, for somebody who's using or just doing it themselves, what's the time commitment to get to the clear message? Because it's like it's been said many times. Um, you know, if I had more time, I would have written a shorter speech, right? Mark Twain, Winston Churchill. So,
Right.
I think people think it's supposed to come, but it's a process. I see that in everything that I do and how I work with my clients. Talk about that.
Yeah. So I think it comes down fundamentally to what it's not what the business owner thinks would represent the company. It's really what users think of that company, right? So what we often do is we get qualitative feedback for any of the websites that we build. We use a tool called userbrain.com, and that lets you run a test on your website, right? So you can get somebody on your site, ask them, what are your first impressions upon landing on my site? What resonates with you, what doesn't resonate, get them to go through a series of different tasks. And so at $40 a tester, I mean, you're collecting like super valuable qualitative feedback. And then what we often do is we re-inject and reinfuse that feedback that they give us, the users, into the copy, right? Like we also do review mining and looking at what are customers actually saying about our company and brand, and can we reinfuse that back into the website experience? So it's really from a user focused point of view that we look at it.
Yeah, I love that. What are some things that a website to have that people don't realize?
I would say the biggest area is that hero section. So that's the section as soon as I land on the website, what I see, right? Now, statistically, I always tell this to people as well. 60% of people, 60, never scroll past that section on average. So that means
Mm,
on average, 60% of people may never see all of the information about what you do, your awards, everything that you have underneath. So if you look at any high converting website, whether it's Slack or Mint Intuit, they'll always have the reviews at the very top of their site. Just delving into the data piece, we use tools like Hotjar and Clarity so we can see how far users scroll on a website, right? And when people put their testimonials at the bottom of the page where only 30% or 40% of their audience is reaching, that just goes to show that you want to build that immediate trust at the top, and then further incentivize people to scroll down, right? So
yeah,
Mint
yeah,
Intuit has like a testimonial, they have all the social proof at the top.
yeah. It's great. It's great. When you talk about color, talk about how much text is too much text, things of that nature.
Yeah, so text is a big one. Whenever we do audits of websites, we often see, people have these big blocks of text, and most likely people are just going to skim by that, right? On average, people will just read 20% of the content on your website. The other 80% of it, they just scan. So the
Yeah.
framework that we like to use is, imagine somebody only read the headers on your website. Would they get a clear understanding of who you are and what you do and what's in it for me just by reading the headers alone? Right.
Yeah.
So that's touching on the text part, and then, making it scannable content. On the color side, this is this is something I always battle with as well internally, which is UX design is how it works. UI design is how it looks. Uh,
Yeah.
I like to say that they both go hand in hand in conjunction with one another. Good UI design is good UX design. If
Yeah.
your button you have black text on a black button, that's not readable. That's bad UI design, but that's also interfering with the user experience as well, right? So
Yeah.
color choices, white space, that all enhances the user experience. It makes it more enjoyable overall.
Yeah. Talk to me about, thanks for that. Talk to me about you as an entrepreneur starting your business. Success is never a straight line. What was your path to get to your business?
Yeah, so I kind of alluded to it in the beginning how if you asked me that stuck question a year ago, it would have been completely different. And I think the big thing for us has been, how can we provide value upfront for people, whether it's inbound, through SEO or affiliate sites where we get leads, or even on the outbound side where we're doing cold email and cold outreach. And the thing for us has been our website audit. So we offer a free audit. And usually these are very detailed, like 10, 15 minutes, where we're just going into depth about all the things I just talked about: messaging, structure, design. And when we do cold outreach, we're actually sending people like a Loom video, right? So I'll
I
record a
love
Loom going through
I
their
love
site.
you.
Yeah, it's been a lifesaver. And it just personalizes the whole experience, right? So that has been the best way for us to not only give value, but also show our process and how we look at websites. And then once we film that video for them, I record it. I actually put it in our proposals as well, right? So I'll put that on the first slide or the second slide just to reiterate the point. So that's been a big game changer for us.
Yeah, Loom's the best. I talk about Loom all the time. I think it's the greatest, and a lot of people just don't use it enough. They just don't use it enough. Yeah, no, I love it. All right, we're gonna do a new segment here. It's a mini business course. So hold on to right. So three things. We're gonna recap some of the things that we talked about today. What are three of the most important things that everybody needs to know when they are auditing their website? Number one.
Focus on crystal clear messaging.
I love it. All right. Number two.
Get qualitative feedback on your website using tools like UserBrain. It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. And number three.
Use data to actually make your decisions. Don't use guesswork. Download a free tool like Hotjar or Clarity and actually track the data yourself.
I love it. That's great. Think community, it's so important. Not only do we talk about doing audits for our website, but we got to do audits of our company as well. It's really, really important. And you should be looking at your website no differently than you look at your company and your pipeline and everything else, because you need to make sure, hey, week by week, month by month, quarter by quarter, is the messaging as tight as it needs to be? Is the messaging, has something changed that we need to take out a word, add a line, take something out, right? And pay attention to the numbers and the data and the feedback that you're getting from clients. It's going to be a game changer. Okay. It's fun. Okay, so now let's get back to you a little bit. Let's talk about e-commerce. When COVID hit, we saw a lot of people realize that no matter what type of industry you were in, your website was an e-commerce platform, and we saw a big surge in the e-commerce world, even for professional services. And so, talk a little bit about what you're seeing and what companies should be thinking about when it comes to e-commerce for their site.
Yeah, I think the best way to tackle this question is really around, the landscape that we're operating right now, especially for ecom, where, digital marketing is so expensive. Like whether it's Meta ads or Google ads or whatever you do. Again, I'm biased because I'm on the conversion optimization side, but we always use the leaky bucket syndrome, right? Like investing in an unoptimized website is like putting water into a leaky bucket. So we see a lot of companies where they're spending all this money getting traffic to their site, but they're converting at, average numbers, whether it's like 1 to 2.5%. And
Yeah,
so our whole thing is focusing on that website experience, particularly for e-commerce, because there's two ways to double your revenue. You either double the traffic or you double your conversion. And the double your
yeah,
conversion approach, when you get more traffic, that revenue also becomes amplified, right? So
yeah,
uh, that would be the biggest, focus area is just conversions, website experience, all of those KPIs.
yeah. It's great. It's great. When it comes to website design, it's a lot of times people talk about funnels, and you talked earlier about micro decisions and micro actions and things of that nature. Talk a little bit about funnels, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit as far as getting people to do the small micro decisions. But talk a little bit about funnels and where they fit in the marketing and the website.
Yeah, so let's just use the e-commerce example again, right? So a traditional funnel would be somebody lands on the website, right? Let's say they go to the homepage. The percentage of people that go from that homepage to then the product page, to then scrolling down on the page to reach the add to cart button, adding to cart itself, in the
Yeah,
cart menu, going from cart to checkout and mapping that whole flow out, and then from checkout to purchase. So that would be a
yeah,
traditional funnel in an e-commerce context. Now the question is, can you map this out in Google Analytics and basically assess where people are dropping off in that funnel? And when you're looking at those statistics and that data, when you do identify the drop off, the question then becomes, why is there that drop off? So that's where things like Hotjar would come in, where you're watching recordings of users on your website. You track where they're hesitating, how they're navigating. I can give you a good example. One of our e-commerce clients, they had basically bundled options on their website, right? So 1 pack, 2 pack, 3 pack, 5 pack, and 10 pack. And we saw recordings of users either choose the lower priced options. So they would choose the 1 pack or 2 pack, or they would exit from the website completely. So we ran an A B test where we cut down from 5 options to 3 options. And we saw a 56% bump in conversions and a 13.5% bump in the average order value just from that one A B test. So that was all derived from that hypothesis of looking at that funnel and seeing, where are people actually dropping off. Does that make sense?
yeah. Totally, totally. That's amazing. Um, And so talk about the data. How does somebody take the time and read the data and analyze the data? Because sometimes, data can tell different stories depending on who's looking at it and what you want to see.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think one thing, interestingly, this is relevant, I guess, is ChatGPT. We've been experimenting with that. It's not always accurate, right? Like with data. But even if you give it a dashboard, it can give you some general insights or even a screenshot, right? With the image recognition. So that's kind of a use case with AI. But yeah, with data, I think it really comes down to your understanding of UX fundamentals, and simple stuff, right? Like just practical advice for anyone watching this. If you have an important section on your website and you're noticing in Hotjar that only 30% of people or 40% of people are reaching that section, but that's important to your user, that's low hanging fruit, right? You want to move it up to the top. So there's simple stuff like that. The other thing is click through rates, right? If you notice a button that's not even clickable is getting clicks, right? There's something wrong going on over there, right? Maybe
Yeah.
somebody's trying to access that page or they want to learn more information. So the framework I like to use is always ask why. Somebody's
Mm,
clicking on this section, why? Somebody's not clicking on this section, why? And using multiple data points, quantitative and qualitative, goes a long way. So user
that's
brain,
right.
Hotjar, combine all of those together. Yeah.
I love that. Always ask why. That's great. I love it. All right, quick speed round, Arsh. Book that's had the biggest impact on you.
I would say Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. That one's a
Oh yeah,
classic
that's a
one.
good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Right, you either have like an F yes or an F no, right? That's
Yeah.
the and it's about decision making, right? Best piece of wisdom you've ever received.
It kind of fits with the book, but if it doesn't matter, the 5x5 rule. So if it doesn't matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes thinking about it. Again, there's just so much noise in business, and it's just keeping focused on what ultimately matters.
Yeah, I love that. Last question. Finish the sentence. What does everybody need to do after they ask why?
Don't chase perfection. I think don't get too hung up on getting everything perfect. It's an iterative process to get to that end solution.
Yeah, I love it. Thank community. This was kind of a mini master's class in how to look at your website, audit your website, how to pay attention to what, and prioritize what's important. So important, Arsh. I love this talk, and I appreciate all the wisdom. I'll extract one thing too, which is make sure you're clear, make sure you are doing things where people can make the micro decisions in your business. Look at what you're doing to get your micro business plans. Everything should be micro. There's a lot of distractions in the world today, and we need to have micro actions and micro wins and keep things in short proximity, keep the metrics high and the consistency intact. Any closing thoughts, Arsh?
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
With all of that. Yeah.
Tell everybody who your ideal clients are and how they can connect with you.
Yeah, for sure. So you can connect with us. It's just thrillxdesign.com. That's THRILLX design.com. And then we have a free website audit. So that's for anyone, whether you're B2B, e-commerce, whatever it is, even nonprofit, just feel free to click that website audit. You can't miss it at the top of the navigation. Yeah.
Good. And tell everybody what the 5x5 again means.
Yeah. If it doesn't matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes thinking about it.
Love it. Amen to that. And thank community. If you need me, you can reach me at jondwoskin.com. Arsh, this was awesome. Appreciate your time. Stay on the line for a minute and have an awesome day, everybody. Thanks, Arsh. This was great. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it as well.